Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and if there's one thing that I really love doing on this channel, it's making lists of the best games of the year and the best memories of the year. I have been making best memories of the year lists since 2011, if you count when I did them on Facebook, and then started making them on YouTube in 2021 after 2020 was the last year of Facebook notes. Best games I've only been doing since 2018. One of the good things about that is that all of my friends who have binged them or watched them in subsequent years, every single one of them has said that they just kept getting better each and every year, to the point where one of my friends says, "Paul, don't burn yourself out too much trying to outdo your previous lists." But one thing that hasn't aged very well about these videos is that sometimes I've gone back and looked at the lists again or played games from that year in a later year and said, man, I wish I would have included that game, but I just didn't play it in time. So I thought, why not just fix those old lists? Besides, a lot of them are practically unwatchable with my lack of editing ability. So I thought it would be fun to look at every best games of the year list I've made since 2018 and see if I want to make any changes. Spoiler alert, the only list that is going to be exactly the same is 2022's. So without further ado, let's get to rewriting. 2018, being the first year that I ever did a top 10 best games, was admittedly kind of rough, especially because I somehow completely forgot about Mario Tennis Aces. I think I might have just been burned out at the fact that Gamefly kind of messed up me being able to get the game on time, and I think that anger of mine probably prevented me from wanting to give the game another shot. Either that, or I was just not really seeing reality when it came to Final Fantasy 15. I think I was just so excited to finally have it on the Switch that I completely neglected the fact that the game crashed on me several times and ran pretty poorly when I played it, as well as having horrendous graphics. And the car sequences aren't nearly as much fun as they appeared in the original version. So I decided, to heck with Final Fantasy 15, I'm going to rewrite this from scratch. Additionally, while I would agree with most of the other games on this list, I'm also kind of mad I didn't include Celeste, because that is such a brilliant platformer. I think the reason why I didn't include it is that I played it late, and so back in 2018, I didn't want to include a game that I hadn't played. So I retroactively, when making this list, I was like, gotta include Celeste. And then the final major thing that I think I kind of messed up on was, with the exception of the bottom two games, I just really wasn't thinking when it came to the order of these games. Some of them I've replayed, and I've had different opinions on, like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. In my original list, I only put it at number 6. But when I played that game again, I'm like, Tropical Freeze is a masterpiece. How is this so criminally low? So with that in mind, my updated best games of 2018 from 10 to 1 are Mario Tennis Aces, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Towerfall, WarioWare Gold, Radiant Historia, Perfect Chronology, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, Celeste, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Undertale, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Glad to know Smash still reigns supreme, although in a year like 2018, what was even close to being the competition? 2019's list was okay, but I think it suffered too much from, again, not playing great games that came out that year until much later, and making it seem like it was kind of pathetic compared to what it really should have been. So when I remade this one, I got rid of both of the 3DS games because my memories are kind of fuzzy of them. I remember having fun with Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn and Bowser's Inside Story remake, but the memories just aren't clear enough for me to be confident about ranking them. So I thought I would make it all Switch games so that it would, sound nicer than just saying a bunch of Switch games, but just 2 3DS games, like the original did. I rearranged the order a little bit, but perhaps the biggest thing that I finally fixed was I put Luigi's Mansion 3 and AI the Somnium Files on there, because I hadn't played those games in 2019, but they are absolute masterpieces and really should have been there from the start. Heck, Somnium Files might have even been my number 1 any other year. Not too much has changed, but with the addition of those extra games and getting rid of the 3DS games, the updated best games of 2019 list is Boxboy plus Boxgirl, Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, Deltarune Chapter 1, yes, I include each of the Deltarune chapters as games because they take so darn long to come out, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, Super Mario Maker 2, Cadence of Hyrule, Luigi's Mansion 3, Tetris 99, AI The Somnium Files, and Fire Emblem Three Houses. Gotta love how my number ones are all staying the same. I didn't even realize that until now, but I honestly think my younger self really knew what he was talking about when it came to games of the year. For 2020's list, it's not that the original list was bad, it's just that I kind of broke my own rules with having a worst games of 2020 list that included part of a collection, and yet not thinking I could do the same for the best games list. So I thought, let's fix that by taking arguably the best game in Super Mario 3D All-Stars and giving it the credit that it deserves for still managing to be a masterpiece. I also thought that I should get rid of the fanboyism for Super Mario Bros. 35, because it was a fun game when it was out, but the game was delisted only 6 months after it released, and I really don't want to encourage Nintendo doing that again. So to fix my mistakes, I looked at some of the order of the games, and for the most part, I still think the order is the same. I have more negative thoughts about Origami King now that the Thousand Year Door remake has come out. I especially have grown to hate the battle system that I originally... Oh, this is so cringy. In my original review, I said the battle system was better than that of Thousand Year Door. What was I thinking? So I put that down a couple of pegs. Otherwise, it's a pretty similar list. So with the addition of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and with my opinions of Origami King shifting a little bit, ironic considering that you shift enemies in the battle system, the new ranking is Paper Mario the Origami King, Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore, the 2020 game people somehow forgot existed, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Evergate, A Short Hike, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Super Mario Galaxy from the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection, and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. With 2021's list, I was pretty spot on, except for one game, which I did not have enough time to play it before the year's end, and that was Life is Strange True Colors. I believe it was because it released near the end of December, and I like to finalize my lists around late November, and so with this video I'm finally giving myself a chance to go back in time as though I were Max Caulfield and fix my mistake. So I'm getting rid of Tetris Effect Connected, because at the end of the day it's another Tetris game, it just has fancy graphics, and putting True Colors there in its place. Now, why is True Colors at number 10? It's because I have since played the other Life is Strange games, and I've realized that True Colors is probably the worst one in terms of its overall structure and hook. Sure, I think objectively the first Life is Strange game is the worst because it has those annoying fetch quests, and that one stealth mission near the end of the game that were real pace killers. But I also like its time loop mechanic a lot better. I think the story is generally much more interesting. I hated Chloe, but I overall did think the characters were really great. And then Life is Strange 2 is just phenomenal. I love the setting, I love the brothership dynamic, I love how you don't actually have powers, but you are responsible for someone who does. And I thought the endings actually felt like you were leading up to it, as opposed to there being preset conclusions. So, with knowing the future, it made it harder to put True Colors up higher. I probably would have put it near the number 8 spot had I played it first in time, but that's the problem with remaking these lists with modern context. So, although not much has changed, my updated list for 2021 is Life is Strange True Colors, Bowser's Fury, Persona 5 Strikers, Deltarune Chapter 2, Danganronpa Decadence. I know that's 4 games in one, but I couldn't decide which of the first 3 was the best, so put them all together besides Danganronpa S. That one's terrible. There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension, Mario Party Superstars, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, Neo: The World Ends With You, and Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. Yes, I'm probably the only YouTuber that would dare put Doki Doki at the top, but when it has such good character development in the side stories, and the base game never came to a Nintendo system until now, and was just such a revelation for me since I knew basically nothing about it, yeah, I'm standing my ground. 2023 probably has some recency bias since it kind of just happened, so there hasn't been a whole lot of time to reevaluate my opinions. But I did recently replay Sonic Superstars, and I realized that it's a game that starts out fun, but then it gets really obnoxious as it goes along. And so I felt like I really couldn't justify putting it on the list anymore. So I decided that I would put Theatrhythm Final Barline in there because I looked back at the games that didn't make the cut. And I realized Theatrhythm was the game that I was the most upset that I didn't put on the list because I thought the music was glorious. I love rhythm games in general. Like I love DDR, Guitar Hero, basically anything that involves pressing buttons to the beat. I love it as long as it's easy to play, and Theatrhythm had the one button approach, didn't even use the control stick. That was perfect for me. So with that, the rest of the list looks perfectly fine, so the updated best games of 2023 list is Theatrhythm Final Barline, Fire Emblem Engage, Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, Super Mario RPG, Life is Strange 2, Persona 5 Tactica, Master Detective Archives Raincode, Hogwarts Legacy, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. So I hope you guys enjoyed these updated lists, and I really hope you're looking forward to my 2024 list. Last year I mentioned that video for the best games of 2023 took about a year to make, and it's looking like it's going to be the same here. We're putting in even more effort, more Paul humor, and more gags, so I hope you guys will be able to see it as not only a cool list, but also like the kind of thing that only I would make, because it's just such Paul humor. One thing I would really appreciate is if you guys would, and I mean this, I'm not just saying this for engagement, these are my genuine feelings. Please go down into the comments and predict what games you think I will put on that list in order, if you could. I know that the year is only half over, but considering that the last Nintendo Direct was pretty thorough and we've already had half a year already gone, I'm pretty confident in saying that all the games that have been announced, that's probably going to make up my list. So please try to predict it for me. Only Miss Peggle has ever done that, and that makes me sad because I want more people to try to see if they can read my mind. Keep in mind, they'll only be Switch games, assuming the Switch successor doesn't release this year, so I would love to see what Switch games you guys will think make the list, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. So until the next time, remember to keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye!